All right, another beautiful Sunday is here, day number 23 in the month of March. Good evening and welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goil PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA, and our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. If you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show. Tonight, we are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Iron Port. Now, we shall be getting interactive with you, and so all you have to do is sit back, relax, and grab your phones and send us your messages and comments ahead via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0538 037353, 0538 037353. Now, when the time is ripe, and I pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefeel. Goil, good energy. Ja, ya, ya.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Tell God, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, welcome back. So it's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry during the last week. We have several stories for you. Please enjoy.
Efforts to make Ghana's ports and maritime industry more accessible to young aspiring women continue to gain momentum. Earlier this week, the Conference on Women in Maritime Security in the Gulf of Guinea brought together 120 female students and dozens of local and international female maritime professionals to advance the agenda for increased female participation in maritime security. This initiative is part of the Enhanced Maritime Action in the Gulf of Guinea project, organized by Expertise France, funded by the European Union and facilitated locally by the Ghana Maritime Authority. Participating students included 100 students from 5 senior high schools, namely Laboni Senior High School, Tema Senior High Technical School, Accra High School, Accra Girls Senior High School, and Nungwa Senior High School, as well as 20 students from the Regional Maritime University. Following the conference in Accra, the students visited the port of Tema for a hands-on learning experience and engagement with women leaders in the port industry. They toured key departments where women have risen to leadership roles, including the Port Security Department, Fire and Safety Department, and Marine Operations Department.
He wants I can do spirit. Someone who can come boldly and say that I can do this.
During the tour, Marie Gebrat, head of the Enhanced Maritime Action in the Gulf of Guinea project, spoke to Ion Port about the impact this initiative seeks to make.
I really hope that in the coming years we'll see more and more girls and young women joining in the Naval Academy at the Regional Maritime University, so they can be trained to be the next generations of leaders of maritime and port security, and years even later we'll have a more gender balanced leadership in the maritime and port security in the region. And I'm sure this will only strengthen the maritime security and the safety of our waters.
Also speaking on the importance of female inclusion in maritime security, Admiral Anne Coulaire, the highest-ranking female admiral in the French Navy, encouraged young women to consider careers at sea and in maritime security, emphasizing the rewards of the profession.
So having young women in front of us, as we did yesterday, of course, is very enthusiastic, because I would love to tell them, enter maritime security area, because when you think maritime security, you must think that maritime security is about the lifeblood of our lives. Trade now is about makes up for 90% of our lives, and maritime security is about protecting this lifeblood. So you have to take a part in this, you have to be concerned. And also because maritime security and threats on maritime security might affect women's livelihoods.
Some of the students shared their experiences from the visit.
Coming to the port, the land we are on right now, and seeing the ships and the vessels, and then being educated on how they operate, and it seems very interesting to me.
This trip has been an interesting one, and I'm hoping to see this program being held for other people also to experience it.
I really like the fire and safety department. So seeing women there, she said earlier that 58 women are in the operations session, the preventing session, and the safety session. So seeing women there, I feel I have to be there one day.
A total of 675 students have been admitted into the Regional Maritime University for the 2025-2026 academic year, comprising 52 postgraduate and 623 undergraduate students. A significant milestone in this year's intake is the admission of 96 females into seagoing programs in nautical science and marine engineering, representing 61 more females than the previous year. This marks a significant step in RMU's commitment to increasing female participation in seagoing professions. This was disclosed by the acting Vice-Chancellor of RMU, Dr. Jethro Brooks Jr., during the university's 10th matriculation ceremony for August 2024 and January 2025 intakes held at the university's parade grounds. Addressing the new students, Dr. Brooks Jr. urged them to uphold the values of discipline and hard work, emphasizing their potential to shape the future of the maritime industry. He also appealed to the governing body of RMU for financial assistance to retool the university and improve student accommodation.
This year, this maritime education and training institution celebrates its 67 years of existence. Honorable Minister, as you are aware, with age comes body pains, and with body pains we frequent our visits to the medical centers. So too I can apply to our infrastructure and training equipment. Due to the regular usage of these assets, they have begun deteriorating and need frequent maintenance. We therefore plead with you to kindly encourage your fellow board members to make good their country financial commitment and support to the yearly budget of the university as approved by that body. With these regular financial contributions, the university will be able to regularly improve the lifespan of these highly needed equipment and building, and in some cases replace them without headache.
The Minister for Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikpe, who was the guest of honor, highlighted the Regional Maritime University's role in the government's 24-hour economy project, particularly in training highly skilled labor for the maritime and transport sectors.
Another intervention that will go a long way to support the 24-hour economy and the development of indigenous businesses in the maritime and shipping space is the strict enforcement of the cabotage regulations passed in 2021. This regulation seeks to reserve jobs in the country's maritime jurisdiction for Ghanaian seafarers.
Additionally, he provided updates on the proposed $174 million modernization project for RMU, aimed at enhancing the university's infrastructure and capacity.
The project will bring about significant infrastructure improvement, including provision of training vessels to facilitate practical seafarer training. I am reliably informed that a revised feasibility studies has been completed and the loan application request has been made to the Ministry of Finance.
Representing the matriculants, Electra Abna Labi from the Nautical Science Faculty assured the university community that the new students are committed to making the most of their time at RMU.
The MV World Odyssey, a 175-meter-long passenger cruise ship and the world's largest floating university under the Semester at Sea program, has completed its visit to Ghana and is set to depart for its next destination. The vessel, carrying 672 students and 177 crew members, made stops at both Tema and Takoradi ports, offering passengers a unique opportunity to experience Ghana's ports, tourist attractions and cultural heritage firsthand. The ship's arrival and port arrangements were coordinated by Inchcape Shipping Services Limited, the appointed shipping agent for this leg of the journey. This year's Semester at Sea voyage began on January 5 in Bangkok, Thailand, and has since traveled through Vietnam, Malaysia, India, Kenya, and South Africa before arriving in Ghana. During its stay in Ghana, several state dignitaries visited the ship, engaged with the Semester at Sea leadership, and were treated to a guided tour of the floating university. These include the Minister of Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikpe, the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Ablanjifa Gomashi, the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamal Din Ali, and the Director of the Port of Tema, Sandra Opoku. The Minister of Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikpe, emphasized Ghana's commitment to positioning its ports as attractive destinations for cruise tourism.
Our maritime industry is a growing one, and having this ship that is cruising around as a university and training seafarers, we are delighted that they have come, and it will be an opportunity for our students, the cadet students in the Regional Maritime University, the seafarers who are being trained, to seize this opportunity to enjoy the teachings and to enjoy the kind of working environment that this ship offers to them. So on behalf of the Ministry of Transport, we want to say to the Goil Odyssey for welcome for coming to Ghana and being at our port.
The Minister of Tourism, Ablanche Fagomashi, echoed this sentiment, highlighting Ghana's historic sites, vibrant culture, and coastal attractions as key advantages for expanding cruise tourism in the country.
In Kosombo, Water Lake is there. The potential in finding and improving on what has been done before is very huge. And I'm committed to join His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, who has indicated that our flagship program as a government is a Black Star experience, that we incorporate maritime and water transport, water sport, water, anything that can happen on water, that we take advantage of it.
The Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Dr. Kamaldeen Ali, assured that Ghana remains dedicated to ensuring safe and efficient maritime operations for visiting vessels. Speaking to Iron Port, the captain of MV World Odyssey, Jean Christensen, praised Ghana for its warm reception and its role in the Semester at Sea program.
The cultural exchange, of course, will happen because our students are traveling around your country, so there will be actually the cultural exchange from our students with the locals. Also, we are organizing special programs, for example, with partner universities here in Ghana, so our students are visiting also universities here in Ghana, especially in Accra. So there is an exchange which is organized by Semester at Sea, because this is one of the key parts of Semester at Sea. And
with its Ghana visits now complete, the MV World Odyssey is preparing to set sail for Morocco, continuing its journey of academic exploration and cultural immersion before heading to Spain and Germany, where the semester-long voyage will conclude.
A joint operation by regulatory and intelligence agencies at Tema port has led to the interception of opioid drugs worth an estimated 20 million Ghana cedis, which were purportedly in transit to Niger. The shipment was seized following a coordinated inspection involving the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Narcotics Control Commission, National Security, the National Intelligence Bureau, and the Food and Drugs Authority. Among the intercepted opioids were 26 cartons of tapentadol, 250 milligrams, 160 cartons of tafradol, 120 milligrams, and 40 cartons of timakin tapentadol, 120 milligrams. The Minister for Health, Kwabena Minta Akando, stated that while Ghana remains committed to facilitating trade, the country will not allow itself to become a haven for illegal opioids. He assured the public that President John Dramani Mahama is personally committed to addressing the issue and preventing the proliferation of such substances.
And the President has also committed that he is going to provide all the logistics it takes for us to effectively fight the influx of opioids in this country. So the law is clear. We are not going to reinvent the wheel. In fact, we are also looking at tightening our regulations.
The CEO of the Food and Drugs Authority, Delisi Mimi Dako, stated that the shipment had not been properly declared to customs, thereby constituting a customs offense and warranting its seizure by the state.
The consignment mainly, I think they were trying to hide these opioids inside. None of the products is registered by the FDA. There's no name of manufacturer also on the label. So it's everything, but you cannot tell where it's coming from. We assume it's coming from India, because normally when you take the strip out, you find made in India, but that is all.
Authorities have assured the public that all necessary steps are being taken to clamp down on illegal drug trafficking and protect the country's public health and security. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana have resolved to work more closely together to enhance the prosperity of Ghana's maritime trade. This commitment was reaffirmed when the Importers and Exporters Association, led by its Executive Secretary Samson Asaki Awengobet, paid its maiden visit to the Acting Director General of GPHA, Brigadier General Paul Seydou Tanyakuluno, on Monday, March 17, 2025. During the meeting, Samson Asaki Awengobet emphasized that continued collaboration between the two institutions would not only strengthen their relationship, but also contribute significantly to reducing the cost of doing business in Ghana's ports.
We are here to officially welcome you and to reaffirm our commitment, the energy in which we used to issue that statement to congratulate you, to say that we at Importers and Exporters Association are prepared to work with you.
Brigadier General Tanya Kulono assured the association of GPHA's commitment to engaging them as key stakeholders in the port business community. He reiterated that GPHA would work towards making Ghana's ports more attractive and competitive.
And now we are going to engage our stakeholders, and I'm sure we'll be engaging you to see how best we can come together and plan the implementation of the 24-hour policy here, so that the costs that is normally associated with what demorages and other things, which can be prevented, are prevented. So in the end, to reduce the cost of what doing business here.
He further pledged to enhance cargo clearance processes, improve road connectivity within the port enclave, and actively engage stakeholders to advance the 24-hour port operation agenda.
I would like to thank you very much for your visits, and I would like to assure you that we will do our best to turn things around so that the cost of doing business here will reduce, so that at the end of the day, the ports in Ghana will be the preferred destination for all business, especially container transit and other goods.
The Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Brigadier General Paul Seidu Tanya Kulonu, has paid a day's working visit to Keta in the Volta region, during which he inspected the site for the port project. The visit, aimed at introducing himself to the chiefs of the area, saw the Director General and some members of his management team pay courtesy calls on the Awemefia of the Anglo State, Togbisri, and the Dufie of Keji, where the port project is sited, Togbi Joachim Akolache, at their palaces. The Director General, during the visit, assured the revered traditional leaders of the commitment of government and GPHA to see to the fruition of the Keta port project. Brigadier General Tanya Kulonu assured that the Port Authority will follow through with the project to ensure it benefits the area and Ghana as a whole.
The ports on which GPHA is trying to put up, the port of Keta, is on your land. We came with the intention to come and inspect progress of work on the port. But as tradition demands, we cannot just drive through and go and inspect the port without your kind permission. So we are here, first of all, to seek your permission to go around, and also to request humbly for your prayers.
The Dufia of Keji, in his remarks, described the port project as a cardinal one which will immensely contribute to the economic advancement of the area and the country. He noted the people of the area are anxious to see the actualization of the project and urged the new GPHA Director General to expedite action in that regard.
It's a project that is so dear, not to only me as the chief of this area, but the people of the North and the Volta region. But I believe that this project will be a game changer for the people of Volta region. And as you have now come, we believe that with your background, we give the necessary matching orders to see how best this project will be fast-tracked.
The Awemefia of the Anglo State, Togbisri, while welcoming the Director General and his team to the area, emphasized the need for GPHA to work at realizing the project, which will change the economic fortunes and well-being of the people. He wished the Director General well and assured of improved and enhanced cooperation for the mutual benefit of all.
Welcome to Entourage to my partners. In fact, it gladdens my heart to see you together with your people. When the information came to me that you would like to visit me, I'm overwhelmed. And really, I was thinking 2-3 people will come. But we've come with the whole administration of Tema Harbour. I'm very pleased.
In a related development, the GPHA Director General toured the GPHA Unity Container Terminal in Kpong to gain first-hand insights into the facility. Accompanied by some members of his management team, the Director General was briefed on the facility by the authority's engineers.
Shareholders of the leading oil marketing company in Ghana, Goil PLC, have ratified the appointments of 9 directors to the board of the company at an extraordinary general meeting. They include Nana Philip Archer, a seasoned executive with over 20 years of experience in multinational corporations as board chairman, Edward Abambri Bawa, an energy expert as managing director and group CEO of Goil PLC, Dr. Thomas Kofi Menu, a senior oil and gas professional, Dr. Evelyn Lamisi Antua, a lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, Augustine Anga Dawo Esquire, a legal practitioner and real estate expert, Dr. Peace Mamle Yoko Tete, an educator and researcher, Afechi Awuno, managing director of BOST, Sylvester Kote, a highly accomplished and results-driven professional, and Dr. Kwamena Mintanyako, Member of Parliament for Cape Coast North constituency. Addressing the media after their ratification, board chairman Nana Philip Archer assured shareholders of the board's commitment to the efficient management of the company. He emphasized the importance of optimizing Goil's ultra-modern bitumen plant and gas recirculation plant to enhance profitability.
We have actually established a plant, bottling plants, and then the state-of-the-art bitumen plant in Tema. And so the thing is to ensure that we make this asset sweat so that at the end of the day, we make the shareholders realize the value that they are putting. Now, I want to add, or maybe to conclude, that for Goil, it's a very strategic company, and so we must do everything possible to ensure that we protect this asset.
The newly appointed managing director and group CEO, Edward Bauer, pledged to build on Goil's achievements and implement strategic initiatives aimed at increasing shareholder value.
Because fundamentally, for every shareholder, there are 2 major things the shareholder is looking for. The appreciation of the share value on the stock exchange and, of course, the dividends, payment of dividends. And these are the 2 things we'll be working towards to see how we can get them sorted.
He reaffirmed the company's dedication to innovation and sustainability in Ghana's energy sector.
All right, so welcome back. Those were some happenings in the port and shipping industry during the last week. We are now zooming into a discussion proper tonight. Tonight we are taking a look at the 2025 budget as read by the Minister for Finance about a week or 2 ago, and we're trying to assess this 2025 budget and take a look at its impact on trade, business, and indeed industrial growth for our country. And so with us in the studios tonight, a representative from the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, no mean person, but the Chief Executive Officer in the person of Mr. Mark Beduabuaje. Mark Beduabuaje, absolutely. He's the Chief Executive Officer for GNCCI. And indeed, also in the studios is the Head of Business and Economic Bureau, Ghana Union of Traders Association, that's GUTA, in the person of Mr. Charles Kusia Piakubi. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Good evening, thank you, Chief.
Right, gentlemen. So let me begin with you, Mr. Mark Beduabuaje, and find out from you your initial impression about the 2025 budget and economic policy statement as read out by the Minister for Finance about a week or 2 ago.
Well, I think it's a good start, let me put it that way, and obviously a very positive budget. Like any budget, there's likelihood that there will be potentials and risk as well.
Right.
So on the face of that, I think that we'll say it's largely business friendly. Looking at the content of it, maybe we'll go into details.
Yes.
But we are also happy that most of the, if not all, some of the proposals we made to the Ministry of Finance. In fact, every year before the budget is read,
we are consulted
and we are asked to make input into the budget. Right. So a number of issues were raised and inputs were made, and we saw some of them largely in the budget. But this is a budget that I think the main idea was to stabilize the economy. Because we've had a very difficult and challenging economic performance for the past 4 years.
Right.
And for you to move forward, the first thing that you have to do is to ensure that there is stability. Stability in prices, stability in exchange rates, interest rate trending downwards, and also taxes as well.
Right.
So for me, largely it captures a key component of these issues that we raise. If you want me to go into details, I'll do that.
Yes.
So, for instance, for taxes, it's been one of our major concerns.
Right.
One is the number of taxes. Two is the rate. And
Rates.
the rate on the taxes.
Yes.
And three is the complexity of some of these taxes. In a small economy like Ghana, we have close to 24 different taxes. 24, both direct and indirect. And these taxes, some of them are largely nuisance taxes because they distort both production and consumption. A clear case is the e-levy. In fact, right from day one when the e-levy was introduced, the chamber strongly kicked against it. And we made it clear that this tax is a nuisance tax. It's not going to help businesses.
Right.
It's not going to help consumers. In fact, nowhere in the world that they have introduced an electronic levy and it's more than 1%. Our initial rate was 1.5%.
Yeah.
We advocated against it, and the last budget it was dropped to 1%.
Right.
We felt it should have gone down further or totally scrapped from our system because it doesn't enhance production. It affects those who are manufacturing as well because now people are doing electronic business. Yes. They are paying for raw materials and they have to pay e-levy. And those who are also consuming also have to pay e-levy. So for us, e-levy, right from day one, we said it wasn't good and it should be scrapped. So we are happy that it was clearly indicated in the budget that the e-levy is going to be scrapped.
Right.
Then back on taxes, I'm also particularly happy about the fact that they are going to reform the kind of tax we have.
Right.
Especially the VAT. It's very complex. It doesn't enhance compliance. People are not paying VAT not because they don't want to pay or they want to evade.
Right.
They are not paying because of the complexity and the fact that some of them cannot even calculate.
Right.
If you have a VAT where you have combined standard VAT and a straight line levy, obviously it's going to be complicated.
Right.
The standard VAT simply means there's input and output. So usually when you pay, your likelihood that the payment and what you have received, you can let it off, either it's zero or the small one you have to pay, you pay. But the levies, the NHIL, the GET fund and all those things translate into a direct cost to businesses. You cannot claim. So it increases the cost of production and obviously to be pushed back to consumers.
Yes.
If you want to fight inflation, you wouldn't want to have this kind of VAT. So we are happy that they are going to reform it.
Right.
My concern is that I was expecting a timeline on when they are going to do it.
Right.
Because we have had instances where they have said they are going to review taxes, reform taxes.
It never happened.
And it has taken years. So I was expecting that there will be a definite statement that between this month or next 2 months, we are going to have the tax reform. Because as it stands now, businesses are still paying.
Right.
We are paying the e-levy. We are still paying this VAT that is so complicated.
Yes.
Another one has to do with the COVID tax.
Absolutely.
In fact, nowhere in this world, we were not the only country that was affected by COVID. But no country introduced a COVID tax.
Yes.
Ghana introduced a COVID tax. COVID is no more.
Yes.
The WHO has declared COVID non-pandemic. Now, probably some of us are here, we have COVID, but because we have, it's not as scary as it was.
Absolutely.
So why should we have COVID tax for all this while? Distorting our tax system, distorting production, distorting consumption.
Yes.
Now, you make an attempt to buy a product, go to a restaurant, and see the number of taxes that you pay. Sometimes 30% of the price that you are paying.
Yes.
And you want to enhance production.
Yeah.
You want to improve the business environment. This kind of taxes will not help.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they are going to reform these taxes and largely ensure that it enhances compliance, ensures that businesses can easily calculate.
Yes.
And that is the only way for them to generate more revenue. In fact, if you want to get a lot of revenue from taxes, it's not the number of taxes you have or the rate of these taxes. It's also about compliance.
Yes.
If people are complying, you get a lot of tax revenue. In Ghana, out of about 12 million people that are supposed to pay tax, about only 3 million people are paying. Because those ones are easily identifiable. There are businesses that you can walk into their offices and ask them to pay, but there are a number of people who are not paying taxes. I have seen in the budget that there's an attempt to broaden the tax net. For me, it's a good start.
Right.
But we have heard this broaden the tax net over and over and over again.
Years,
I wanted to hear a definite statement of how they are going to do it. But if they are able to do it, for me, it's a brilliant idea.
Right.
And for businesses, if you talk about business environment, there are key indicators that we look out for. One is inflation, that's price stability. 2 is exchange rate stability. 3, we are looking for interest rate, and the taxes that I've explained.
Yes.
Now, in the budget, I saw clearly that there's an attempt to bring inflation down. That is the target from 23.1 to 11.9.
Right.
From what I said, even though it looks a bit overambitious, if they are able to do it, it will be for all of us. And some of the policy they have outlined, for me, is brilliant policy.
Right.
One of them is clearly looking at how we can increase agri production and increase food prices. If you look at the basket for inflation, food constitutes about 42%. Your income, the amount of money you spend on food alone is about 45%.
Yeah.
If there is any attempt to reduce food prices, then the better it will be, which means that we need to increase the production of food.
Absolutely.
And then the supply of food and to reduce prices. Production supply is not enough. Also, we need to look at transporting the food to the market. That's where fuel prices come in. And I've seen also in the budget there is an attempt to also reduce fuel prices. One thing they also wanted to do is to look at within the inflation basket, the weightier items, and look at how they can bring them. So, for instance, utility. We have had instances where every quarter there is an increase in utility prices from PURC. So, for water and electricity, they keep on increasing day in, day out, every quarter. And for us, an increase in electricity creates a lot of problem for the manufacturing sector. The reason being that for a typical manufacturing sector, electricity constitutes about 30% of your cost.
Absolutely.
So if you increase electricity cost by just 1%, can you imagine people are paying 10 million Ghana cedis for electricity, increase it by 1%, and water is also there. So if they are able to do the things that they have outlined, largely we are going to have a lower inflation. For exchange rate, we have had rapid depreciation for the past 4 years. Last year alone, our cedi depreciated by 19%. And for any economy, if your cedi should depreciate more than 5%, the impact is very serious. So for us to have 19% depreciation of the cedi, for businesses, your capital is being eroded. Because if you purchase something from outside the country and you have to pay, it means you have to convert your cedi into a dollar.
Absolutely.
And now we can't buy more things that prior to convert the depreciation of the cedi. So it's really affecting us. So for businesses, stability of the foreign exchange is very important so that we'll be able to plan and predict. I've seen the gold board, which is also a brilliant idea to ensure that we increase our foreign reserve, sort of to reduce demand, so that when you go to the market and you want $1, you'll be able to get it. I've also seen other items like prioritizing import substitution. And that brings to mind the fact that the private sector should be supported. If you want to do import substitution, the question is who are the people going to produce? It's the private sector. So if the cost of production is high, you end up not achieving your objectives, and inflation is largely will go up. So on that score, it's also a brilliant idea. And then when it comes to interest rate, the elephant, Ghana at the moment, if you want to borrow, you are likely to pay about 35 to 40%. Because the policy rate alone is 27%. Give or take, let the bank add the cost of credit and all their expenses into it. You need to pay. Now, the question you need to ask yourself is, which business will be able to do proper business, so to speak, and generate revenue in excess of 35% to make profit, to be able to pay? And so the non-performing loans that are going up within the banks is also one of the reasons why the banks are also complaining, because the interest rate is high. Businesses will have to borrow. And if you borrow at 35% and you want to make more revenue, the only way to do that is to invest in a risky venture. And there's also a high possibility of your business collapsing and you not being able to pay for the loan.
Yeah.
So we need to look at all these things and ensure that they work. We have seen the TB rate trending.
Yes.
At the moment, I think it's about 17 or 15%.
Yes.
That is good, but it has its own challenges. Now, if you have a TB rate of 17% and your inflation is 23.1%, if you're an investor, your real return is negative.
Yes.
A rational investor will look for an alternative that will give a positive real return. And that is where there will be pressure on the dollar. Absolutely. Because instead of putting money in treasury bill and getting a negative return, I will decide to buy the dollar. And that will put pressure on the dollar, and the cedi will depreciate. Absolutely. But it's part of the management of the economy. Macroeconomic management is very difficult. Once you try to solve one problem, you are likely to create another
problem.
You have to be able, as a Minister of Finance, to be able to balance these variables that once you are solving, the other problem that you are creating will not be too much for you, and also derail the benefit you would have gotten from the other side.
Yes.
But the budget in itself is a statement of intent. Absolutely. It's an intention, what they would want to do. The real benefit will come when it's being implemented.
Absolutely.
So we are patiently looking at the implementation.
Right.
The outturn, quarterly, at the middle of the year, and at the end of the year, is going to tell all of us whether indeed we'll be able to achieve inflation of 11.9.
Okay.
We've been able to bring interest rate down.
Right.
We've been able to stabilize the cedi.
Right.
But the intent in the document is okay.
It's fine.
I have also been able to identify certain risk within the budget.
Okay. All right, so you hold on with the risks. Let me go to Mr. Piakubi
Okay,
and
Mr.
take
Piakubi.
his initial thoughts as well.
All
And
right.
find out from you whether you think that the 2025 budget policy statement as read by the Finance Minister adequately addresses the challenges businesses and traders in Ghana face.
All right, thank you, and good evening to you.
Yes, yes, well.
And to Mark. In fact, you said everything.
I think you also have something to say.
Anyway, so looking at the gloomy picture of the economy for the past 4 years coming, you were expecting it's going to be business as usual, where government will want to raise taxes because we have debt to pay through the debt exchange programs. An economy that is bedeviled with high inflation, high interest rates, high forest rates. The obvious was government to come and say, all is lost, let me increase taxes to survive. But true to their words, prior election, they kept to it. They've able to deliver and define the meaning of resetting. Then we've moved from business as usual to business unusual. In economic recession, where government is not asking for new taxes from businesses, these are some level of hope. The budget, as Mr. Mark said, is government policy indicating how we want to run the economy for the fiscal year ahead of us. And in fact, we will look at a budget that want to address the economic challenges and to push economic growth. We want to stabilize the cedi. We want to give some kind of relief to businesses and also to reform taxes. And as we've indicated, we want to be competitive in the sub-Saharan African region. So government upon government always seeks to increase taxes so that we can increase tax to GDP. And unfortunately, we have not gotten there. And as part of the government reset agenda, it says, okay, let me give some relief to my people. We've complained over COVID-19 levy. We've talked about the VAT system. We have also talked about emission taxes. We talk about so many taxes that cripple growth. And true to their words in the budget, they've been able to more or less cancel some of these taxes. That gives businesses hope. It inspires confidence in the economy because the economy is run not only on economic indicators, but the, non-financial indicators, like confidence, where your words and your actions, they run in correlation And government giving us that hope
Yes.
that what he promises, he will try his possible best to do it.
Absolutely.
And in doing that, one of the things that I saw proud to even the budget was cutting the number of his ministers and ministries.
Yes.
And giving directive on how his ministers should travel.
Yes.
That in collaboration gives us an idea that the new direction that Ghana is going. And you could also attest to the fact that he has also reduced his appetite for borrowing from the money market through T-bills. That is an indication that the crowding effect that business have suffered over the period, because government over the periods always want to borrow from the central bank to do projects or to take care of its deficits. This government has shown a new direction where he has reduced the appetite for borrowing from the money market. And in that way, you give the business people the opportunity to borrow from the banks. And for business to get capital, to ignite their working capital is another sign of business growth. Because if we're able to borrow, I can expand. However, government attempt to reduce expenditure through borrowing has not necessarily correlated to bringing down policy rates in terms of borrowing from the bank. It has not actually affected interest rate, what do you call it, inflation as we're expecting. So there's a need for them to look at how they correlate this. So we're looking at the balance between the fiscal management and that of the monetary management. Over the period, they don't match. When government or through the central bank want to arrest inflation through monetary policy, government also want to rake in revenue by increasing taxes. And it defeats the purpose. So there's a need for them to look at how do we draw synergies between the monetary policy and that of the fiscal policy management so that we can achieve the intended, what they call objective. In the budget, you also want to look at government doing what we call the 3 prongs, I call it, the recalibration of fiscal structures and also delivering on what they call the Fiscal Responsibility Act. You know, the Fiscal Responsibility Act more or less manages government expenditure. That should not be more than 5% of the previous GDP. Because of COVID, that was waived. There's a need for them to reinstate it and enforce its implementation. That is indicated in that of the budget reading. You also talk about the delivering the shock to the economy, and that is by cutting government expenditure. That to us is a sign of leadership. That to us as businesses means that there's a new dawn. We need to reposition ourselves to assess the opportunities within the environment now. You also will also appreciate that government want to reduce its primary, to expenditure and increase its primary balances to have surplus. And the budget suggests or projects government getting almost about over 20 billion surplus in terms of primary balances. That means that previously, if government have not able to manage to maybe reduce its primary balances, and he need to get 20 billion from the market, he have to do that through tax raising. Okay, so for him to project that he will be able to have a surplus in our primary balances, suggests that such monies that were supposed to be in form of taxes will be available to businesses for businesses to run. And to me, that is what I call the Reaganomics kind of fiscal policy, where Reagan, former president of the United States, that let's cut taxes through microeconomy to the business people so that they can have some kind of relief. And when they have such reliefs, it becomes part of their working capital to expand their businesses. And when businesses are expanding, when businesses are growing, there's a need for more headcount, where they can employ the teeming youths that are unemployed. As businesses are growing and they are recording high numbers, revenue and profits, that means that government can also enjoy a very sustainable, my word, the operative word, sustainable taxes, which previously has not been the case. Anytime GRA or government achieves tax revenue targets and they are beating their check for doing a good job, there's always a dotted effect on the business survivor.
Okay.
As Mr. Mark indicated, we have not been able to expand our tax net.
Yeah.
There are few identifiable businesses. I'm talking about direct taxes.
Yeah.
So when government needs money, these are the few people we always target. Yeah. So when you don't have also a good tax system that ensures self-compliance, a good tax system that also resonates with the dynamics in the market, business will tend to be paying taxes, but in actual sense, they are using their working capital, which is not the principle of taxation. Tax is supposed to be from earnings. They use their working capital to pay, especially with the VAT system.
Yes.
And in doing that, you government, you rake in revenue and you clap your hands and beat your chest that you have done well. But the effect on the business is you're collapsing it. Yeah. So if you have not changed the narrative now, I always say would have been a point where business will collapse and government will not be able to rake in that kind of needed revenue to run the economy.
Right.
Because they have made us understood and we understand that business are the engine of every economy, the engine of growth. Yeah. But if there's no oil to run the engine, if the engine is not working properly, the vehicle cannot run. And if businesses are not there, there's no country like Ghana. So looking at a budget that seeks to touch on the basic needs of businesses, the cry of businesses, and reconciling it to the needs of the ordinary Ghanaian, that inspires hope.
Right.
All right? I always say there's a pull and a push factor so far as this budget is concerned. When inflation have depleted working capital and that of purchasing power, there's a need for you as a government to balance it.
Right.
And he has done so through cancelling of COVID-19 one levy.
Yes.
He has done so by taking off the 10% taxes from the youth. He has done so by taking emission taxes.
Yes.
That means that those monies that would have been paid to government as taxes or levies, are now available to the ordinary Ghanaian, which of course increases their disposable income. And when you have disposable income, it means that the possibility of your expenditure or your expenses going high, which you can buy basic things to take care of yourself. In buying, you are buying from the businessman. In buying, there's a economic multiplier effect of that expenditure in the market. Right? So, yes, government, some people are talking about, there's a gap in revenue when you take all this. But the future effects, it's more positive than if you have maintained the status quo.
Right.
So we commend them for listening to us. They engage us proud to election, proud to budget reading. They engage us. We gave them our input.
Right.
And true to their words, they have delivered it. Okay. So I call it a budget of the people, by the people, and of the people. And that is the new direction that we have to run our economy.
Right. All right. So the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Ghana Union of Traders Association are resolute in their conviction that this is a forward-looking budget. Yes. All right. So for us in the port industry, I think that we are happy that the COVID levy and then the VAT as well as the e-levy is gone, because our Director General was explicit and unambiguous when the Transport Minister called on him at the Port Authority and said this should be taken off. They should work it out. And once it's been captured, I think that, yes, it's a way of reducing the cost of doing business in our ports, particularly for those that are into the transit business of Mali, Niger, Burkina, who come. They are charged COVID levy for what? They don't, and VAT and all that. So please, I think that it's a forward-looking thing. So let's come to you before we activate the phone lines, Mr. Beduabuaye.
Yes.
Okay. And find out from you. You were about mentioning some risks that you identified in the budget. Can we know what they are?
So for Chamber of Commerce, every year after the budget, whether the media or the main budget, we do what is called a budget review. And the purpose is to take the budget, look at the potentials for businesses, and also look at the risk.
Yes.
You can only manage your risk when you know, so that you're able to put in place all the mitigation measures.
Right.
So for potentials, there are also potentials in there. A key one is the fact that government is going to prioritize use procurement to buy made in Ghana goods. In Ghana, if you have figures of how much of the things we import, things that we can produce here but we import, then you know the magnitude of this problem. So if government says that I'm going to procure made in Ghana goods. It gives opportunity to the manufacturing and entire business sector.
Right.
A clear case is the sanitary pad for our women. We have companies here that are manufacturing sanitary pad.
Yes.
I don't expect that when the time comes, they are going to do sanitary pad from China or anywhere and give it a local name. Now that is the trend. They go and manufacture there, and then they add Ghanaian name to it, presupposes that it's being manufactured here. We have companies here. I read just yesterday
the
that
textbooks.
the textbooks, the Minister of Trade and Agribusiness and met with other those who can produce these sanitary pads, and they are going to give them the opportunity to do that. You are going to generate jobs out of it. Government is going to get more taxes out of it, and the economy will also go up. There are things that we can do here.
I think it's the same thing that I also read that the president has indicated that the textbooks are going to be printed here in Ghana, so that the money stays in the country.
I mean, that is a brilliant idea.
Brilliant and fantastic idea.
In fact, in every, if you want to develop, you need to make or take a deliberate decision that I'm going to support the manufacturing sector. I'm going to support the industrial sector. In countries that have developed, Korea and all the rest, they decided deliberately that for these items that we can produce, we are not buying them from anywhere. Let's produce them locally and then move forward. So for me, it's also a brilliant idea. The other bit had to do with agriculture.
Yes.
If we really want to transform our economy, then we should pay particular attention to agriculture. Most of the problems we are facing is because of the low productivity for the agricultural sector and the fact that we don't add value to the things we produce. Although I've seen that the allocation to agri of 1.5 billion cedis is woefully inadequate. Woefully inadequate, but it's a good start. It's also sending a signal that the government would want to do something different from there. I want them to also learn from our past. The planting for food and jobs. The main idea is to plant for food and jobs. If you had planted for food inflation would have gone down, but food inflation went up. If I planted for jobs, people would have gotten jobs,
unemployment rate
but the unemployment is going up. So what have we learned from there? It shouldn't be just a slogan. So exactly what are they going to use the 1.5 billion for? From the production side and also for the processing. If you know the amount of money we spend in importing fruit juices from South Africa, you'll be surprised. Because we have pineapple, we have all those things in there that we can add value. But sometimes you cannot blame those who are manufacturing because the cost of production is also very high. Somebody made a simple calculation, funny but very, very critical, that the person can import bottled water from Europe and will sell it at a price lower than the one that is being produced here. Ghana, it shouldn't be. They have produced it, transported it, pay all the taxes at the port, and still
selling cheaper on the market,
and still can sell at a cheaper because our cost of production is very high, and we are not competitive. Because if you go to the international market, nobody will buy your product because it's coming from Ghana. They will buy the product because of high quality. Packaging is good and prices are also very good. So if you really want to take advantage of all the trade agreements you have signed, all of them, the AGUA, the EPA, the AFTA, we want to really take advantage of it, then we need to look at the cost of production. That is why this budget is critical. Absolutely. If the budget is able to bring the cost of production down, then we'll be able to take advantage of AFTA. Go to North Africa. Check their cost of electricity, cost of water, cost of credit. If you are competing with them, right from the start, you have been outcompeted. Come to our West African sub-region. Go to Cote d'Ivoire. Go and see the things they are doing there. Their interest rate is less than 10%. You are borrowing at 35%. You cannot compete with them. So your product will not be purchased. So let's bring the cost of production down. For me, that is very critical. He made mention of the fact that the government had reduced its borrowing, and by so doing will crowd in the private sector.
Look, no, I said that in so doing, the crowding effect will be reduced.
Yes, also, when the crowding out effect is reduced, it means you are crowding in the private sector. That is the opposite. But I also see a risk in there. Because if you look at the government, the budget deficit of about 50-something billion Ghana cedis, only 15% of them of this amount will be financed externally.
Right.
Because the Eurobond door is close to us. The finance we are getting externally is only coming from the IMF and the World Bank.
Right.
About 39 billion of this deficit will be financed locally.
Right.
Through the treasury bill market.
Yes.
So there's a contradiction in how we are managing the treasury bill rate. If government begins to borrow to finance this budget deficit, that's where we see the length of the frog.
Yeah.
Because there will be demand for local demand on the banks for money.
Yes.
And that will mean that the businesses are likely to be crowded out.
Yeah.
So it's a concern to me.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to how the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank will manage it. If they can reduce it, the better it will be for us, so that funds will be made available to businesses, as he said, so that they will crowd in the businesses.
Yes.
Another bit also had to do, I saw the growth projection of 4%. In Africa, the average growth projection is 4.2.
Right.
Ours is slightly below. Last year, we grew by 5.7%.
Right.
Me, what I look out for when I see growth numbers, it's not just the figure. I look at the drivers of growth.
Okay.
Where are the growth coming from? If you have growth coming from oil and gas, it's a jobless growth.
Right.
It will not translate into reduction in poverty. It will not translate into employment. Go to the oil sector and go and see those who own those rigs.
Yes.
And then go and also ask the number of people who are working there.
Yeah.
The big people are foreigners.
Yeah.
Only few Ghanaians are working there. But if you have growth coming from the agri sector,
I think with that regard, we have not done well with the local content policy that we.
Exactly. I was discussing with another economist, and I think we need to do something. If you go to Botswana, for instance, there is no way you set up any gold mine company without having a strong local content.
Yes.
So the foreigners will take their money away, but the locals will keep some of the money here. For our structure, it's one of the reasons why the city is also depreciating. Because if you look at our export revenue, far exceeds our import, even though we are crying that we import more. If you look at the trade balance, it's positive. But it does not translate into the transfer of these dollars into this country. So they export, they have their money in there because they have also borrowed, and they have to pay in there. The owners of these rigs or these mining companies are outside. They need to transfer monies to them, their profit and dividend also to them. Constantly when you do that, your reserve will go down and your city will depreciate. How do we ensure that we get something also from the mining? I'm not so happy with the increase in growth and sustainability levy from the mining sector from 1% to 3%. Obviously, they are going to suffer, but they have also benefited from a windfall increase in prices. In Ghana, we don't have a windfall tax. So when prices are increasing and those companies are making money, you are not able to tax them. So the only way for you to get something is to increase some of these levies. But this growth and sustainability levy was supposed to be a temporary levy. Introduced by President Kufuor when the 2000, when the banks were making supernormal profit and the economy was suffering. And the idea that let's take a little from the banks to support the economy, it was temporary. Since that time, we have changed the form, we have changed the name, and they are still collecting. Now we have also changed the sunset clause to 2028. Why do we keep a temporary tax for a permanent period like this? When you did that, you discourage foreign investors into the economy. So once we say we are doing it, I think we have to do it. Changing the sunset clause and all those, I think they have to also take a second look at it. So these are the risks that
you have identified in the 2025
that we have
budget.
identified within the budget. And for our members of Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we've been able to also identify the potentials. So for each of the sectors that we have, we have identified the potential within each sector. And we are advising them on where they can invest and where they can benefit from. And then with the risk that we have identified, we have experts that are helping them to put in place mitigating measures. If there's a likelihood that the government is going to borrow more and is going to crowd out private sector, where are you getting money into your business as soon as possible? So these are the areas that we've been looking at, and we think that when we look at it, it will help our business.
Awesome. All right, so that's Mr. Mark Bedu-Abuaje. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Also with us in the studios is Mr. Charles Kusi Apiakubi, who is also the Head of Business and Economic Bureau at the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Good time tonight. We're taking a look at the 2025 budget, its impact on trade, business, and industrial growth. And when we return, I'll come to you, Mr. Apiakubi, and find out from you one canal or key driver of in that industry of trade or business is power or electricity. I'll find out from you what do you think the situation currently is and what we should be looking out for as far as the 2025 budget is concerned. Please stay with us. We're going for a quick break. We'll return.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefeel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All All right, welcome back. This is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight, like I said, we're discussing the 2025 budget, an economic policy statement as read out by the Finance Minister about a week or two ago, and we're taking a look at its impact on trade, business, and industrial growth. That's in the studios. Mr. Charles Kubi, who is the head of business and economic bureau at the Ghana Union of Traders Association, that's GUTA, and indeed Mr. Mark Bedu-Abuaje, who is the chief executive officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry here in Ghana. The two sides are resolute in their conviction that the 2025 budget is a straightforward one. I mean, it's a forward-looking one, and they think that it's good. But he has identified some risks, that he thinks that when addressed could make it a very, very solid document. Now, I said I was going to come to you because one cardinal driver of business, of trade, of industry is the cost of electricity, cost of power. Tell us what the situation is and what we should look out for, what you figured out in the budget. Before you come in, I've also been told that we can activate the phone lines, so you can call. I saw some of you were calling the WhatsApp line. Please, the line to call is 0245834980, 0245834980. You can call that line and then contribute to the discussion. Yes, sir. Mr. Piakubi.
Mr. Bedu was talking about the risks in borrowing from the money market. I mean, reducing his appetite for borrowing from the money market. And that its effect probably could be dire if government is not able to sustain its discipline in terms of fiscal prudence. Yes, that is true. But in doing that, he has also indicated in his budget that this year we're going to reduce our budget deficit, which was last year was about 7.9.
Right.
He's going to do 3.1. That is very positive. He's going to run, from all indications, that what we call the zero-based budgeting, where you give value to every expenditure. You do the value benefit analysis.
Right.
So with that, with his indication of being disciplined insofar as fiscal expenditure is concerned, and rationalizing his expenditure, gives us that confidence that it is possible. And I indicated to him that, yes, the economy is dynamic. Things will change. If the narratives change, probably we will look at how best can we support this government to do that. He has also indicated he's going to increase non-tax revenues, which, of course, is a positive thing. You want to do about 4% to GDP.
Yes.
The revenue in is enough, right? So we need to support him. And I share with him that when you're able to anticipate risks, then you could be well positioned to mitigate it.
Yes.
So it's a call on government that business, we support you. We are looking at you. Don't derail. Don't lose focus. Yes, it might come at high cost to you in cutting some pleasure, but we are looking at how we reset the economy. We're looking at how you can give businesses a new hope. We happen to cite Africa Continental Free Trade Area in Ghana, in Accra. That gives us a single market exactly. But the question has always been, what has been the benefit to the local businesses? And Mr. Bedu rightly put it, cost of production is very expensive. And that brings me to answering your question. One of the cost build-up in production is utility. And you know the debt with ECG alone, they are looking at how they push it to consumers. Which of course raises
how to push it to consumers.
Exactly.
You continue from there. When we return from the phone lines, Christian is calling us from Tema. Good evening, sir.
So far, so good. Looking through all the sectors of our economy and the budget, what I have seen as a youth is that the confidence of reviving our economy has been uplifted. If you look at the energy sector, for instance, what we need is reforms to mitigate the practical problems with practical solutions so that the local participation of our economy can be boosted. Let us take agriculture. As a developing country, there are some key elements that we must take note of, that is food production. If we are able to produce more of our consumptions in this country, at least it will reduce the burden of on our CD. That's going to regulate the inflation. In fact, we have practical problems and we need practical solutions to solve them.
Right.
And the current leadership of our country is committed in solving some of these problems. So I am only confident and hoping that the way they've started, by clearing some of the nuisance taxes that we've spoken about, the COVID tax, the e-levy, for instance, is coming to boost investor confidence and make sure that our economy is fertile for businesses to grow.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Christian. We're grateful to you calling us all the way from Tema. You can also call in. The number to dial is 0245834980 right here on your screen. Yes, Mr. Piakubi.
Yes, so as I was indicating,
yes,
utility forms majority of our cost build-up.
Yes.
And that has even discouraged a lot of traders from going to manufacturing because your bills you cannot. And sometimes these are underpinned by some, should I call, mismanagement when it comes to revenue mobilization and its expenditure from the utility regulator and that of the agent, that's GCG, right? You were here, I was told they imported some items they don't need in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
This cost they have created, of course they are going to push on to the consumer. If I'm into industry and you push my cost high, of course I'm supposed to pass on that cost to the consumer. If the consumer doesn't have the purchasing power, what happens to my products? So I will get discouraged. I will better enter into importation, which is cheaper, and I can sell to get my revenue. So utility, in terms of power supply, we should be looking at alternatives.
Right.
We are a country blessed with sun that runs almost 8 months or so. Yes, so we look at solar as an option. If there's a wind power, we could look at to bring production of utility, especially power, down. Gas, I'm told, is also one cheaper as compared to the hydro. Can we look at how government can invest more into gas? So probably we can do that. 2 is how can we reform toll?
Okay.
Okay.
How we can reform toll?
Yes.
So let's go to Kolebu and welcome Ibrahim. Right after that, you continue from there, please. Yes. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Awesome. Please shoot.
Please, sir. I just, my TV and we're discussing this issue. I just want to chip in something small.
Right.
If we check from 2003 to 2004, the previous government ceased paying external debt. So now, this current government must find a way to raise revenue to pay all those debts that the previous government ceased to pay. Now, my small suggestion is that if we can decentralize so that this district assembly will be collecting tax, because we have centralized everything, our tax net is very, very small.
It's small, yeah.
So just to broaden the tax net, I think we have to decentralize so that the district also, because if you look at our small traders, like this flat tax rate, they don't pay taxes.
Yes.
And they engage in economic activities, and whoever engages in any economic activity must pay tax. So this is just a small suggestion, because when you speak, it reaches there. We have to decentralize and then widen our tax net. Thank you.
Awesome.
You very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Ibrahim, for your call. Yes, Mr. Piakubi, you were on hydro, you were on...
definitely. Hydro and gas, solar. Yes. These are the alternatives for us to explore so that we can bring production in Ghana down.
Right.
So that we can also compete in a single market after offers to us.
Yeah.
Other than that, it should be merry-go-round. We talk about it. We have a nice edifice, but the effect, the economic translation to the indigenes will be zero.
Yes.
So there's a need for us to exploit other alternative sources of power to engineer our industries.
Yes.
Before I end, let me also talk about what Mr. Bedu talked about, getting to more production in terms of agriculture. It is the way to go, but the constraints are so much. The land litigations is an issue. Its government is so much committed in transforming our economy through agriculture.
Yes.
We should be looking at a land tenure system. If government can go for a vast land, arrange with the landowners that this I'm using for commercial purposes, identify business, empower them, give them incentive to support, the technical know-how to get into production, and there's already made market. You see, there's a value chain when it comes to agriculture.
Right.
The farmer is there, the processor is there, the off-taker is there, and there's the market.
Yes.
Government should be looking at, in each this value chain, who are my key players?
Yes.
So if it's about the processor, what equipment do you need? What machines do you need? What support do you need? You give to them. And you also arrange to have an off-taker that right from production, someone is picking it to the market. In the market, there's someone ready to buy. If these things are done right, the stress in farming will be taken off.
Absolutely.
The stress in production will be taken off. Absolutely. The stress in selling will be taken off.
Yes.
In that way, you will see most of our importers moving from importing from outside Ghana and off-taking from locals, so that we will therefore reduce the stress we give on the forest. And the depreciation.
I think we need to have a part 2 of this discussion because we just have barely 3 minutes to wrap up.
Oh, wow.
We need to have a part 2 of this discussion. But just coming in for our industry is this communique by the spokesperson to the President and Minister in charge of Government Communication, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu. And he says Brigadier General Glover Ashong-Anan has been appointed Commissioner of Customs. And he says His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, has appointed Brigadier General Glover Ashong-Anan as the Commissioner of Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Brigadier General Anan is a well-respected, dedicated, principled, and patriotic commissioned officer of the Ghana Army, and he is expected to reset the Customs Division and support the Ghana Revenue Authority to meet its targets as we work towards fixing the economy. Until his appointment, Brigadier General Anan was the Presidential Security Coordinator. The President thanks the outgoing Commissioner, Brigadier General Ziblim Ayarogo, for his service to the Customs Division and Ghana. Signed, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu MP, spokesperson to the President and Minister, Government Communications. And so that's news just coming in this evening. I picked this one from his wall on Facebook. And so that's what's new now. We go for some messages as well. This one says, this budget looks good on paper, but will the government actually implement the policies effectively? We've seen promises before and that never materialized. This one is from Sambru in Accra. This one says, infrastructure is key for business. What specific projects in this budget will directly benefit traders and manufacturers? Kojo and Abusu can send in this one. And this one says, import duties keep increasing. Yet the government says it supports traders. What practical reliefs does this budget offer importers? This one is from Yao in Tema. Yao, we are pressed for time at the moment, and so we'll seek some responses from our guests and then treat you to watch the abridged version of Iron Port on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television, and then your responses will be aired there. Gentlemen, like I said, we might have to have a part 2 of this discussion because we haven't even gotten to half of the discussion that the questions that we have for you tonight. But it's been a wonderful and insightful discussion. We'd like to say big thanks to Mr. Charles Kusiapia-Kubi, who is the head of business and economic bureau, Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, and indeed Mr. Mark Bedu Abuaje, who is the chief executive officer, Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Gentlemen, we are grateful to you for making time to come. We'll speak with our bosses. If they give us the permission, next week we might regroup and see how we can digest and finish, conclude this particular topic. We are grateful to you. We wish you the best of the week ahead. And indeed, viewers, we thank you. We'd like to say a big thanks to our sponsors, Ghana Revenue Authority, Goil PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed, Phoenix Insurance. Remember, the show is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA. We entreat you to keep watching the rest of our programs here on Metro TV, and God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of your favorite Iron Port program here on Metro TV. My name is Kennedy Mona. We wish you a super week ahead, and we thank you so much for choosing us. Have a restful evening.